everybody, and a happy November 17th to ya. On this Monday, I am your guest host, Alanna Rizzo, along two men that you know very well. That is AJ Pierzynski. That is Erik Kratz. AJ, Erik, how are you? AJ, we'll start with you. How was your weekend?
Oh, it was a good weekend. Nothing. Didn't do a whole lot, honestly. Just kind of did some stuff around the house, hung out. How about you, Alanna?
Good to be back with you boys. It's been a while. Scott Braun is off today. Congratulations to Scotty, by the way, getting married over the course of the weekend. So Scott and Emma Braun, congrats. I went on a safari. That's the most recent news for me, guys. And Erik Kratz sent me a text during my safari trip. Apparently, we stayed at the same hotel in Cape Town, South Africa. So there you have it. If you go to South Africa, you go to Cape Town. Erik, stay at the Victoria and Alfred, as you did.
So beautiful. Right on the water there. You see the boats. You can look out at, what is that? Tabletop Mountain and
Table Mountain. Mm-hmm.
Table Mountain. And what's the island? The famous island where they
they have the Cape of Good Hope.
Yeah, Cape of Good. Anyway, beautiful. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
So it was cool to see when I pulled up your X. It just came across a picture, and I'm like, what? I looked at my pictures, went back. I'm like, what? We didn't stay in the same room, but it's on the same floor of the hotel.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah, same itinerary apparently. And when you say that you pulled up my X, you're talking about X, formerly known as Twitter, not like ex-boyfriend or yeah. Oh, all right, so there's that. Did you have a good weekend, Erik Kratz? What did you do? AJ,
had a great weekend.
Yeah,
had a great weekend. Got to went to the Worthwhile Gala, raised some money for. To raise awareness for human trafficking, and I got to spend a beautiful night's dinner at the gala. Mark Weiner actually dressed up and wore a tie.
He did not.
Hilarious. It was tremendous. He looked tremendous.
So he cleans up nice is what you're saying Mark Weiner does. All right, boys. Good to be back with you. Let's get to it. A lot to talk about today. Let's charge the mound.
He's charging the mound.
So it looks like Josh Naylor, AJ Pierzynski, and the Seattle Mariners are going to be in a 5-year union. Jeff Passan and Ken Rosenthal talking about it. Free agent first baseman Josh Naylor in agreement with the M's on a 5-year deal, of course, pending that physical. AJ, why do you think this makes sense if you do?
I think it makes a lot of sense for both sides. I think Naylor must have gone to Seattle and really liked it. They almost made the World Series. He's a free agent. They made an offer that he likes, and I'm hearing 5 years around 100, which is a pretty good contract. I mean, for a guy with Josh Naylor. And listen, if you like a place and you find a place that you really like, and they're offering you a contract that you're comfortable with, take it. And he's doing that. And good for Josh Naylor, and good for the Mariners on spending some money and trying to make their team, especially their offense, better early in the offseason.
And AJ, you mentioned it, trying to make their team and go for it in the offseason. And Erik, we know that Dipoto makes a lot of moves, right? But this is a guy that is trying, I guess, to lock down that core group, because now you have Josh Naylor. Of course, you have Cal Raleigh, which they should lock up for eternity, Julio Rodriguez, and the Mariners rotation. So this is a foundational piece to what is already a pretty decent foundation moving forward for the M's. What's your take on it?
I feel like anytime you can add a significant bat who – they got Josh Naylor, and they were like, you know what, we're getting a guy. He stole a few bases, whatever. He added that stolen base component to what he already has. And clearly, I mean, we get it. Julio Rodriguez got MVP votes. Cal Raleigh could have won the MVP. And you go, okay, well, we don't need somebody to carry the lineup. But when you're constantly year in and year out never making that move on a Pete Alonso, obviously they're never in on Juan Soto. Ownership just would refuse to allow Jerry Dipoto, who wants to make moves, to be able to see that as the Mariners to shift in this direction. It's awesome. Now you have Julio, who's locked up. You have J.P. Crawford locked up. You have Cal locked up. And this is 5 years. You know, is this starting rotation going to last for 5 years? Maybe all this is like a year or two late when they were really all in their prime. But they've shown they can produce pitching in their minor leagues. So this is obviously a great move. I think he was the second best first baseman on the market.
And you talk about first baseman, guys, and AJ, will bump it over to you again. You look at the first basemen that are signed to essentially long-term deals, at least more than a 2-year deal. We'll put it that way. So Josh Naylor now joins Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who's obviously going to be in Toronto forever. James Shiano tweeting this earlier. Every first baseman who's signed to more than a 2-year deal. Christian Walker, of course, Matt Olson of the Braves, who took over for Freddie Freeman, who went to the Dodgers, obviously, and he's signed long-term in Los Angeles. So it's a really small list. I guess I'm a little surprised that Naylor is on this list, but I do think it makes sense for the Mariners.
Yeah, it makes total sense for both. Again, the Mariners, yes. Listen, they lock up a power guy that can play every day. He's left-handed. He performed in the postseason. What else do you want? I mean, could he have maybe gotten more? Maybe. But again, this is a place he liked. This is a place he seemed comfortable. Good for him. And you know what? A 5-year deal? It's pretty nice to go home and say, hey, guys, I got a 5-year deal. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's nice to have that job security. And obviously, James Shiano is the host of the Metsed Up podcast right here on Foul Territory. And he's probably thinking about this list because what's going to happen with Pete Alonso, right? Like, where is their first baseman going to go? So, Erik, I ask you this. What else do the Mariners need to do in the offseason? Because they have a hell of a core. You talked about the starting rotation, obviously. It seems like the offense is finally catching up to that starting rotation. What else do they need to do?
I think they definitely need another bat. What type of bat? When they got Eugenio Suarez, obviously he had a huge 2-home run game in the playoffs that helped them get to where they were or continue to move on to where they were. But do they need another power bat like that? I think they would have to evaluate it and say, what type of hitter comes into this park and can hit dingers? And if they say there's nothing available, is there somebody in a trade that can help them keep the line moving and not just be automatic outs? You know, sometimes when you have a park that is tough to hit in or tough to hit home runs in, then you say, okay, you know, well, we'll just try to get the biggest bat we can, you know, some type of 1-year Rhys Hoskins type of deal. I know it's not going to work out because they already have a first baseman, but is there something that adds to that lineup? To me, you got to put the ball in play. If you can't hit dingers out of your park on a consistent basis, and that costs money, find somebody that you can put the ball in play. Find somebody that's going to keep the line moving. And I think it's really adding to that lineup is what they need because that bullpen is stacked. The starting rotation stays healthy, stacked. You know, that's where their focus should be.
Seattle went pretty deep into the postseason this year, obviously getting bested by the Toronto Blue Jays, who ended up in the World Series. But AJ, let me ask you this. Erik wants another bat, not certain which type. What else do the Mariners, in your opinion, need to do to get over the hump, to at least get back into the postseason next year, move further? Is it a bullpen piece or is it another piece of that starting rotation?
It's a bat. I mean, it's still a bat. It's always going to be a bat in Seattle. Their starting rotation is good. If Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, Castillo, and Wu stay healthy, along with Bryce Miller, I mean, there's a five of the best. And then their bullpen with Munoz at the back end and some of the guys they found. One thing about Seattle, they always seem to figure out how to manipulate guys in the bullpen. So I don't know that they need any more pitching. Would a nice veteran starter look good? Sure, but they have 5 guys who have been around now for a couple of years. So unless you're going to go out and trade one of those guys for another bat that you can use, multiple position player pieces that can be ready in the future, I think you just got to go and load up on bats. I mean, Raleigh, Julio, now Naylor, Polanco is a free agent. They got to go do something with him. Crawford's a nice piece. Rosarena is still there. So I think they're in a good spot. I think one more piece, whether it's a third baseman, maybe, I mean, Alex Bregman, I don't think would go there, but something like that would be a really nice piece. And a guy also that could play some defense because their defense was a little bit, I wouldn't want to say shaky, but it wasn't the best defense in the league.
All right, a little suspect at times. By the way, congratulations to George Kirby. He got engaged recently. These are the stupid facts I bring to Foul Territory on a bi-monthly basis. Are the Mariners, Erik Kratz, the team to beat in the AL West? Going into spring training, are they the best in the division?
I mean, I guess it's okay to pick against the Astros now. I mean, last year, I just refused to pick against the Astros, and I guess that's why they lost. They took a little bit of a step back because they couldn't fight through the colossal injury of Yordan. I mean, I think it's yes. I think they made that the last push that they made in September when Mariners of old, Mariners history, every team collapses. They look like they wanted to collapse in August when they had some tough road trips and they were losing 6 of the 7 games. But they made that next transition. And I think some of that is maturation of Julio, Cal, J.P. Crawford, but I also think some of it can be the fact that they're extended for a long time. They're not sitting there trying to get hits, trying to do things that they're just trying to win games. They're just trying to win games in any way possible. And so I think this team has, because of this past year, right now, I see they catapulted themselves to the favorites in the West, which they always were because of their starting rotation. And now that they're starting to hit the ball a little bit better, it's legit.
Is that the case, AJ? You think the Mariners are atop of the division heading in?
Well, let's see what the Rangers and the Astros do this offseason. I think those are two big clubs. The Astros just missed the postseason. The Rangers have pieces that are very nice. We'll see. They're supposed to be cutting payroll, but let's see what the Astros do. I think what happens with Fromber, what other moves they make, a full year of Carlos Correa at third. Let's see what the Astros go out and do. But right now, where we sit on today, on November 17th, yes, the Mariners are the favorites.
Yeah, it's insane to think what the Astros did, even with the the Yordan Alvarez injury, guys, and obviously not having Kyle Tucker or Alex Bregman, and they very easily could have won the division as well. Much more to talk about on Foul Territory with AJ Pierzynski and Erik Kratz. Jim Bowden joins us next. We're going all into it with stuff that he's talking about on Front Office Unfiltered right after that.
Holiday shopping season is here, and we have you covered from head to toe.
Let's talk about an area that's not quite close to the toes. Let's get crazy with this holiday season. Yeah, that's MeUndies I'm spinning around, but the holiday season, now you can get MeUndies with some holiday prints on them.
That's right, ridiculously soft fabric holiday prints, matching holiday prints with your special person, or you can coordinate PJs for the family photo. And right now you can get up to 50% off with the code FOUL. We rock MeUndies. You should too. We're talking over 30 million pairs sold. Knock out all your holiday gifting needs today with MeUndies to get exclusive holiday deals up to, I said it, 50% off. Go to MeUndies.com/foul and enter promo code FOUL. That's MEUNDIES.com/FOUL. Promo code FOUL for up to 50% off.
Guys, big day on the baseball calendar tomorrow. Snakes Territories, Jack Summers writing that November 18th, the qualifying offer and Rule 5. This is the deadline, guys, for a player to either accept or reject a qualifying offer. The amount for this season, $22.025 million. Zac Gallen's decision, guys, must be made on that date. What do you think he does, AJ?
Pops out. I don't think anybody's going to take the qualifying offer. We haven't seen a lot of guys take it. I don't think Zac Gallen's taking it. I think he has Scott Boras, and Scott Boras will tell him he can get him more on the open market. So I don't think we'll see anybody. It was Nick Martinez, I think, was the only one who took it last year. And I don't think.
You don't think Big Will?
I
feel like he's the one. I don't think Gallen does.
Maybe, but maybe. I don't know. Maybe Wu's just ready to try something different. I don't know. I mean, although 21 million sounds pretty good, but I don't know. We'll see. I guess he would be the one. I just think they must have had a conversation already about, hey, well, we're going to offer you this. If you take it, we don't really want you to take it. But I don't know. We'll see.
I think Gallen. I think anytime I see stuff in the media, now that I'm in the media, and I'm like, just because he had a down year this year, like our team's going to look at it and be like, oh yeah, he's probably on the decline. No, look at the whole body of work. It's a $100 million pitcher. Did it bring down his value some? Maybe, but $100 million is not even close to the 22.05 you get.
4.83 ERA over 33 games. We'll discuss much more with Jim Bowden next. It is time now for Front Office Unfiltered. You can, of course, check out Jim Bowden's work, MLB analyst and insider on CBS Sports. He works for The Athletic, MLB Network Radio, Sirius XM. He's our Foul Territory contributor. The man has many, many jobs. Incredibly talented. Jim, good to be with you. You wrote on Friday at the GM meetings that the future of Skenes and Skubal, Orioles are getting calls for Rutschman and more. Let's talk about Skenes and Skubal for a moment. Do the Tigers have a chance in heck, Jim, of signing Skubal to a long-term deal?
Alanna, that's a Chris Ilitch question, right? It's not a Scott Harris question. It's not a Seth Greenberg question. It's Chris Ilitch. Look, I think we pretty much know where this thing has to land, right? Yoshinobu Yamamoto makes $325 million, and we're talking about Skubal, who's won back-to-back Cy Young awards, and he's 28 years old, and he's got the competitiveness, the makeup. He's a great teammate. He's the full package. He and Paul Skenes are the two best pitchers in the sport, period. So, how badly does Chris Ilitch want him? I mean, I think, the next offer they need to make has to start at $350 million. You have to come out right away and show Scott Boras that you're going to respect him and you're going to make him the highest paid pitcher in Major League history. That's where the offer starts. And then you have to see where Scott goes with that. Does he counter at 500? Does he counter at 450? If you can get him done between 350 and 400, I think Scott Harris is going to tell Chris Ilitch, let's do it. It's hard to get an ace. He's got everything we want in a superstar player. And then it's up to Chris. And if Chris sits there and tells Scott Harris, I'm not paying $400 million for a singular player, I just don't think it makes sense, I'm not going to approve doing that, then Scott Harris to me has no choice, Alanna, but to trade the player. Because I'm not going to wait for the trade deadline and get 2 months rental return on him. And I'm certainly not going to do what the Angels did with Ohtani and let him get the free agency and get draft pick compensation. No. So, look, this is really a Chris Ilitch question more than anything else. I do think Skubal would stay there if he was made that type of offer. And I think it's going to be fascinating to see how it plays out.
Jim, the Tigers, when Mike Ilitch was alive, were not afraid to go out and spend the money. Why is the Sun not acting the same? Why is Chris Ilitch not doing the same? Is it because he doesn't love baseball as much? Is it because I know he was in Seattle for Game 5. He flew out there. He was on the field. So does he not love baseball the way, does he not desire a championship the way his dad did? Because to me, that was one of the great things about Detroit is once Mike Ilitch said, wait, we're turning it on. I mean, they went fielder. They signed Miggy. Now, the Miggy deal at the end was bad, but they made some moves to get guys there and to try to be a competitive team. They're competitive. They're on the brink of being able to possibly win a series that they haven't done in 40-plus years. Why is he not doing what his dad did?
Yeah, that's a great question. I guess we should ask the same thing about Hal Steinbrenner. How come he doesn't act like George does, right?
Well, he does, though. He does it more, though. He's closer to his dad than George, than the Ilitches are. He'll still go spend. I mean, he'll spend the money.
He will, but he's more reserved than his dad. His dad would go get Tucker and Bichette right now. Like, come on, that's what George.
They'd probably be the favorites for the World Series, Jim.
Yep. You're absolutely right. And so the answer to your question is a lot of times the sons want to be more responsible than their dads because their dads didn't look at it from a business perspective. Their dads looked at it, I want to win. This was a hobby for them. They loved it. I mean, George made his money in the shipbuilding and Mike made his with Little Caesars Pizza and the other things that he was involved in. And the sons come along, the next generation, who inherited a lot of the resources and they tend to, not be their dads, and they're going to be more responsible. I think Skubal is that exception, though. And look, if you can afford Miguel Cabrera in his prime like they did, then you certainly can afford Skubal in the prime. I mean, look at their roster, AJ, Eric, and Alanna for a minute. There's a lot of payroll flexibility there. They're not loaded with stars. Sure, Riley Green is going to make a lot of money at some point. But look, your next best player is going to be Kevin McGonigal, who's going to be Rookie of the Year in 2026, and you're not going to have to pay him for 3 years. So to pay Skubal $40 million a year for 10 years, the budget has to scream, I can afford it. So, we're going to find out. I think we're going to find out without a doubt. But Chris, as you pointed out, not his dad. He operates differently. And so I think this is going to be the biggest decision that Chris Ilitch has made since he took over as the control person of the Detroit Tigers. And I'm fascinated to see how this plays out, because if he's not willing to do it, then again, we're going to see the biggest trade we've seen in a long time this winter.
That's what I want to get to. What's a comparable return? Because people are like, oh, well, Juan Soto got this and all this stuff. We're talking about a guy who single-handedly took his team to the playoffs and made his team go as far as they could in the playoffs. Because if he could hit, he probably would have helped a little bit more too, because they didn't get any runs. He did everything possible.
Yeah, a great point, Erik. And I think when you look at it, there's not a lot of teams that are going to match, and anyone that's going to give up a load to get him are going to want to be able to sign him long-term and are going to be willing to say, hey, I'll pay the $400 million bill when it comes. And so, I kind of identify 5 teams where I think there's a possible fit. Let me go through them quickly for you since you asked. The Dodgers. The Dodgers could offer Emmett Sheehan, Justin Robleski, Jackson Ferris, Zaire Hope. Pretty good package. You get 3 young starters you control, inexpensive. You get a future all-star outfielder. That's a pretty strong package. Now you want to get more creative. What about Tyler Glasnow as part of the return? He doesn't have a no-trade clause. That would give the Tigers at least a top-of-the-rotation type starter back. Have him be part of the package. Or you can look at the Red Sox, right? They could do a package of early for the rotation, Christian Campbell for the infield, Garcia for the outfield. You could run a package around that. The New York Mets could offer a package led by Brandon Sproat and Jonah Tong, 2 starters back, throw in their Jet Williams and maybe Ronald Mauricio. That might work. Seattle may want to offer one of their young starters, say a Bryce Miller, and then maybe their best pitching prospect in Sloan. Throw in their Ford, one of their top prospects, Admiralis. That might work. The Yankees with Spencer Jones and Will Warren could start a package, but that's the type of return that you're going to get. You're not going to get a superstar back. You're not going to get equal value back, but you might get enough quantity where you can compete in the future if you're not going to spend the money on Skubal. The best move the Tigers could make, though, it's really simple. It's to sign him long-term and try to get it done. But if you can't, don't get stuck with draft pick compensation like the Angels did, because that will set you back years.
You said not many match up, but I mean, we're not talking, you don't have to sign this. You don't have to sign him to an extension. And if you trade here, like, you're giving up a lot. I get that. But you're getting a guy, like I said, what he can do, but you're also getting the draft pick compensation at the end of the season if he gets traded now. So why do other teams not match up? Because they don't have enough, or they don't have enough big league ready where they're like, okay, well, we get this guy and we can still the Tigers can still make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, a lot of teams don't have the young starter that you definitely have to have back if you're going to trade Skubal. A lot of teams don't have those guys that are on the doorstep to get to the big leagues. So, when I looked at it, and I'm writing an article on this on The Athletic that'll be published later this week, I looked at all 29 teams and kind of put together, if I'm the Tigers, what would make sense and where the fits would be and where they wouldn't be. And I just found those were the teams that matched up. I have to start with, I need young pitching back, or I have to have a rotation guy ready back along with a very strong package. And those were the 5 teams that I felt matched up best with Detroit. That doesn't mean other teams can't match up and can't make, competitive offers. I just kind of took it from the Tigers' perspective.
All right. Well, Tarik Skubal has some to say in it, but obviously still under control. So we'll have to see what happens with him in terms of the Tigers, whether they trade him or not. A guy that has a lot of say, Jim, and you wrote about it and talked about it, is Kyle Tucker. I would be very hard-pressed to say he goes back to the Cubs. What do you think is the market for Kyle Tucker, and who realistically is a good fit for him?
I found this kind of fascinating, talking to so many different front office executives about what is the value of Tucker. What do you think he's going to get? I had some guys say between 400 and 500. I had some guys say between 300 and 350. I had some guys say high AAV but shorter term to let him go back on the market. It's interesting because it's a wide spread, and I don't know what Kyle, what he's going to prioritize. Is it going to be the most years and the most money? Or is he going to be flexible and taking high AAV and going back in the market in 4 or 5 years, or having a bunch of opt-out clauses? I don't know how he's going to play this out. I think it's going to be very interesting. But in terms of teams where he fits, he fits with the Blue Jays. Put him in right field. He fits exactly what they like. 30 homers, 30 steals, plus defense, plus runner, plus arm. Doesn't have to be the face of the franchise. That's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I think it's a really good fit, and I hear that they're really interested in him. I think he fits with the Yankees. If I'm Brian Cashman, I want everything to do with him. I want him over Bellinger. I want him over Grisham. I want to have him and Judge together in that lineup. And again, doesn't have to be the face of the franchise because Aaron Judge does that. If I'm the Dodgers, I can't watch Tio in right field anymore. It makes me sick every time the ball's hit out there. I love his power and I love the personality, but can we just go hide him in left field and let's put Tucker in right field with Pages in center? I feel a lot better. The Dodgers, they got $80 million coming off the books. Why can't I invest in Kyle Tucker? Complete player, quiet, will fit in nicely. Doesn't have to be the face of the franchise because Ohtani and Betts and Freeman are that. Other teams, does he fit? Yeah, Mets in right field, but Soto DH. I'd feel better about my team defensively. That's not going to happen. The Phillies would be a great fit in right field instead of Castellanos, but Dave Dombrowski's focusing on Schwarber and Ranger Suarez first, but I like the fit in Philly. And I love the fit in San Francisco, but Buster Posey goes, no. I'm spending all my money on pitching. I'm not getting another bat, so that's what he's going to do. So I think at the end of the day, Blue Jays, Yankees, Dodgers are the best fits. And I think if you had to pick a favorite right now, it's probably Toronto.
Can you walk us through the closer market? Because it's deep. There's a lot on the free agency market. Do you see any of the teams that are in for a closer currently have a closer and say, you know what, we can double down? Or is it a case where it's like, hey, because this team X has this closer already, they're not going to be in on this high end? When I say high end, Robert Suarez, Devin Williams, and Edwin Diaz. And then obviously, you have Pete Fairbanks and you have that next level down.
Yeah, no, I think if you already have a closer, you go get another one, right? I mean, that's what I want. I want as many as I can to shorten up that game. If I'm the Padres last year, I loved having Mason Miller and Suarez late in the games. I felt really good about my chances if I had a lead late. If you're the New York Yankees, I know David Bednar was great for them. Let's go add Edwin Diaz to that. He can pitch in New York. He can handle it. I absolutely want that to close if I'm the Yankees. If I'm the Dodgers and I'm Dave Roberts, I'm so sick and tired of having to mix and match. And look, Sasaki, they want him to start. So if he's going to start, who's going to close? It's not going to be Blake Trinan. I know they went through a lot of injuries and they tried Tanner Scott. Sorry it didn't work. It should have. It didn't. I get it. But if I'm them, I want Diaz or Suarez or Devin Williams or Fairbanks or Iglesias. So I think both of those teams, the Cubs and Twins, have both told me their priority this entire offseason is to rebuild their bullpens because they don't have anybody. Palacios is the only one back with the Cubs. The Twins traded their entire bullpen at the deadline, so they're going to be playing. The Tigers are going to be playing. The Braves have to play after losing Iglesias. Mike Elias says the Orioles are going to play. Mike Hazen says they're going to play. The Giants are going to play. The Rangers are going to play, and the Reds are going to play. They're all after and there's not enough to go around, by the way. I think the closers market, I think they're going to get paid. Now, I'm not saying they're going to get the Josh Hader deal, but I think Diaz wants it. I think he wants that 5th year, and I think he wants to beat Hader. And I don't know, maybe someone's going to pay it. I don't know. And I was guessing more like 4 years, $88 million for Diaz and 4 at 80 for Suarez. But you know what? I always try to overshoot, and I end up undershooting. I thought Naylor would get $90 million. He's going to get close to $100 million. So, you know how these things work. But yeah, it's a fun closers market for sure.
Closers. One team that doesn't need a closer is the Boston Red Sox with what Aroldis Chapman did. What do you see them doing? Are they going to get Bregman back? Are they going to go for another starter? Are they going to find a bat? Is Pete Alonso maybe in the mix for Boston? What do you see Boston doing? Because they were close, but they still have some big holes.
Yeah, so I can only tell you exactly what Craig Breslow says. Number one goal is to get a number 2 starter. And the second goal is to get a right-handed hitting corner infielder and then add some bullpen depth. So, that's what he's telling other GMs. So 100% believe that that's what they're going to do. Now, what does that mean? I think, could they play for Skubal? Sure. They've got enough to get it done. Could they play for Freddie Peralta if he's traded? Sure. Again, they have enough to get that done. Or do you just go to free agency and try to get Dylan Cease or Framber Valdez or one of those top-end starters? They certainly have the income and the revenue and the payroll flexibility to do that. And then in terms of the corner infielder, if I were them, and this is not coming from them, this is just me, I would want Bo Bichette to play third base. That's my first goal. I love the bat. I love the hitter. I like the kid. I like him at third base. or second base. You could put him at second and Marcelo Meyer at third base with Story at shortstop. And in terms of first base, I think Pete Alonso would be phenomenal there. I know he doesn't fit what they want because they want to improve defense, run prevention, very important to Craig Breslow. But imagine Alonso, because he plays every day, 162 games each of the last 2 years, 152 games or more 5 years in a row, averages 35 home runs a year, great clubhouse guy, can handle the big market. Can you imagine how many dents he'd put in the Green Monster? They probably have to replace the Green Monster by the end of the year. And what would he do to Roman Anthony? What would he do for a break? What would he do for the middle of that lineup? Take all the pressure off. I think it would be a great fit for them. I know they don't love him defensively, but look, even when he ends up being a DH in 3 or 4 years, you're going to have the DH spot open. So I think that makes a lot of sense. And if not, you bring Bregman back. So whether it's Bichette, Alonso, or Bregman, I love any one of those 3 choices for them. But they're going to get that number 2 starter. That's the one thing I'm totally convinced of.
From Boston to San Diego, Jim, let me ask you this. We have a fan asking this question. Owl of Minerva wants to ask you, what's going on in San Diego? They think that they're going to blow up the team. Obviously, it has been said that the team is looking for new ownership, perhaps. What do you think happens there? What does A.J. Preller need to focus on?
Yeah, they're not blowing the team up right now. They're not going to blow it up for 26. They're going to run back as much as they can. And A.J. Preller is going to spend the winter trying to get enough starting pitching that's affordable, that can allow them to, be in the playoff hunt, make it as a wild card, and see if they can't run the table in October. So they're not trading Tatis. I saw a rumor out there somewhere that's not happening. They're not trading Machado. They can't trade Bogarts because no one's going to ever take that contract. So, this is going to be the team. I think they'd like to get one more bat, but they need at least 2 starting pitchers. And they don't have a lot of money to spend to get those pitchers. So AJ's got to be creative. His farm system isn't what it once was, so he doesn't have the trade assets that he used to have to make a lot of the trades that he's made. But I trust AJ. He's a wheeler, a dealer. He never sleeps. He'll outwork everybody, literally. I think he gets 3 hours sleep a night. So I think he'll figure out a way. But the Padres are not going to blow it up. They're going to go back and win. And yes, I think the team at some point is going to be sold, and hopefully someone will come in with enough financial wherewithal to handle all of the financial exposure that they're going to inherit on the books, and hopefully treat it as a hobby and be able to spend more money.
You're in Preller's position, exact position that you just explained. You need a starter. Do you go to Mason Miller and say, do you want to be our starter? Because we have Jeremiah Estrada already. That could be a closer. Whether they think that or not, I don't know. But do you as a GM make that suggestion, or do you need Mason Miller to come to me and say, I'd like to be a starter, knowing how much value that is for him as to be a starter?
Well, as a former GM and evaluator, I'll tell you, Mason Miller would be a starting pitcher if I had the say to it. I remember talking to Mason Miller during the All-Star game, not this year, the year before in Texas, and I asked him about starting. And he basically said that he wanted to close. He doesn't want to start. He said, I tried that. It didn't work. And I said, yeah, but you didn't really give it enough time. You have the stuff. There's no doubt in my mind you can develop into an ace, a number 1 starter. I do believe that. So I think if I had Mason Miller and I was A.J. Preller and Craig Stammen, I would be doing everything possible to try to convince him to start and develop, because I do believe that he could become that ace. And that's what I would try to do. But you have to keep in mind, if the pitcher doesn't want to do it, a lot of times it won't work. We interviewed Craig Stammen the other day on MLB Network Radio, and it sounds like that he's going to be his high leverage late inning guy, and it doesn't sound like starting is going to be something they're going to consider. But I'm with you 100%, Erik. I would start him if it were up to me. I love the stuff.
You there?
We're back.
Yeah, you froze on me.
Okay, sorry. No, one thing you had in your column was about Adley Rutschman. Would the Orioles think about trading him for real? And is it because Basallo was there and they signed him to the long-term deal, and they're going to pick the guy who they know has already signed? Because this would be a large shift for the Orioles to make a move like this.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to get moved. I think the reason they're fielding so many calls is there's a surprising number of teams that are chasing catchers right now. You usually don't see this kind of demand. And so those teams that need a catcher, they make the call to Baltimore because everyone saw the contract that Basayo got. And they also understand the Orioles are not going to be able to extend Rutschman long-term. And he's going to eventually get to free agency. So, by kicking the tires and calling and trying to get him now, I think makes a lot of sense. I don't think Rutschman has even touched what he's capable of doing. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I think he has a chance to be an MVP caliber player in time. I don't think he's been developed right, and I think he's still going to get there. And I think there's a lot of GMs that think the same way. But I think Mike Elias' job probably on the line this year, and I would tend to think the only way he would trade him is if he got so much pitching back in a trade that he felt like he had to do it. I think more likely he holds on to his position players and then just puts all his time and effort into starting pitching and relief help. And I think he's going to commit at least one long-term expensive free agent starter this offseason. I think he learned his lesson last year, as David Stearns did in New York. You can try to outsmart people by these short-term, high-risk starters. It normally is not going to work out. So I think his focus is going to be on that. But I don't blame teams for calling him on Rutschman. I would too.
Jim, always a pleasure to get to know what you're working on. Guys, you can certainly read Jim in The Athletic. You can see him all over the place, CBS Sports, and many more with SiriusXM and MLB Network Radio. Jim, we appreciate you. We will see you soon. Coming up next on Foul Territory, Marcus Thames joining the program. The new Royals hitting coach is joining us next.
AJ, we're going to do things a little bit differently here. I am wearing the Perfect Jean, and I remember seeing ads for the Perfect Jean, like most comfortable fit ever, perfect fit on your body. And I was like, I'm not buying it. Now I'm buying it, and we're showing it off on FT.
Please get off my desk, first of all, Scott. Second of all, I was with you. I was skeptical about Perfect Jean, and then I got a pair, and the fitting was perfect. And my body's not hard to fit because I got a big old rear and big old legs from years of squatting, and they fit perfectly. They're stretchy, they're comfortable, they're fashionable. They're everything I look for in a jean, and now I have an extra pair, and I'm going to wear them all the time.
FOUL15 is the code at theperfectjean.nyc. FT listeners get 15% off your first order, plus free shipping, free returns, and free exchanges when you use code FOUL15 at checkout. That's 15% off for new customers at theperfectjean.nyc with promo code FOUL15. After your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support the show and tell them Foul Territory sent you.
Joel Sherman coming in with this, you guys. Yankees are in agreement on a one-year deal with Ryan Yarbrough, as by Robert Murray first reported. Yarbrough, guys, a 4.36 ERA last season in 19 games, 8 of those which were starts with the Yankees. Good deal, bad deal, Erik?
Without knowing the money, I have a hard time believing this is a bad deal. I hate it for Yarbs that he doesn't get a multi-year deal here, but he's a perfect switch, a knife, the whole pocket knife. I'm trying to say switch knife, and I can't come up with the word, but
Swiss Army knife.
Swiss Army knife. Thank you. Because he can start, because he can open, because he can close. Like there's times when you have a deep rotation of 5 or 6 guys, and you need somebody that can open, but then you need one of those guys to be able to shift to the bullpen. That's Yarbrough. He's been that. And, you'd like to see him stay a little bit healthier than he did this year, but he's going to give you what you need. So I think it's great, especially that he can lock up another big league deal.
It's a good move.
Hey, what do you think?
He pitched there. He proved he could pitch there. It's a good deal for both. They can use him as a starter if they need to. If someone goes down, they can use him as a long guy. They can use him as an opener. They can use him late innings. He can give you length. I think this is a great deal for both. This is one of those deals that, listen, they come together early because it works for both sides. And it's like the Josh Naylor. It works. Good. Now we're on to the next.
All right, up next, talking with Marcus Thames with the Royals. We'll be right back. All right, and there he is, Marcus Thames, kind enough to join the program here on Foul Territory, the newest member of the coaching staff for the Kansas City Royals. Marcus, great to be with you. Thanks for taking the time. Why did this make sense for you? Welcome to the show.
Thanks for you guys for having me.
Why did the Royals assistant or second hitting coach, not assistant, but second hitting coach, why did that make sense for you right now?
I've been doing this long enough now, and I am just willing to help any organization try to win. With my experiences and my expertise on the hitting side, like I said, I've been doing it for a while. They have Zumi in place, and just being able to assist him and to help the hitters to try to get better.
Marcus, you've been doing it for a while. Come on, I can go through on my Rolodex of texts from you. I mean, it is every year you get a new job at different places. What the heck is going on? Why do you feel like the hitting coach position, because we've asked other guys this, why do you feel like the hitting coach position is something that is so just, well, you know what? Team hit good, you're fired. Team hit bad, you're fired. Why do you feel like that is the case? And do you ever, I know you get sick of it, but do you feel like there's an answer that's out there? Unless you're K-Long, or I'm trying to think who else. Seitzer kept a job for a little while, but nobody knows. There's people who are like, I hated Kevin Seitzer as a hitting coach. I hated K-Long as a hitting coach. Is it because it's such an easy position to get rid of? What is it?
I'm trying to find the root of it. Honestly, I have no idea, man. But I continue to just try to do my job and try to help players. But I've had some situations where the manager was let go and I was part of the staff. In Chicago, the manager was let go. He held me over to the next year. Then I was let go again. But I keep getting jobs, man. I guess I'm doing something right for somebody.
I think you're doing a lot right for a lot of people. Let me ask you this, because you played 10 years in the show. How has the position changed since you had hitting coaches to when you became one? The game is different now. How do you handle that transition?
Yeah, the game is different. I go back to, when I played, there was only one hitting coach for 13 guys or 12 guys or whatever it was. But now there's a lot of different moving parts now. You have a lot of the new things in the cages, a lot of the technology. Now you have 2 hitting coaches. Some cases you have 3. Just having the personnel in the cages with the hitting coaches to be able to evolve with the game, but to make sure you have somebody ready for each type hitter you have.
Marcus, what's your philosophy on hitting? How do you blend analytics and the old school way? What's your big thing that when you go into a job that you try to say to the hitters?
Number one thing for me, AJ, is it's getting to know my players. Kratzy's been around me. I'm not a cookie cutter. I think in this game I've evolved over the years of just making sure each player know their strengths and try to maximize their strengths. And I think when you do that, you can get the best out of a group of guys. So as a philosophy, that terminology is thrown around a lot. But for me, it's just each guy is totally different, and try to get the best out of each guy and what they bring to the table. And so when it comes to philosophy, man, that word is thrown around a lot. But I just try to make sure I get the best out of each guy.
I've seen it, so I can agree with that. But my question is, I played in Kansas City. Kansas City is a different type of stadium. Can you take your same approach? Because all you talked about was just getting to know the guys. You didn't say, well, you know what, we got to get this dip, we got to get this in the slot, all this stuff. You said getting to know the guys. But don't you also feel like there's some preconceived ideas? Like you look at this lineup and you're like, wow, these guys, they didn't strike out at all. The Blue Jays, they didn't strike out at all. Okay, there's a comparison there. You're like, you know what, you guys got to hit a few more dingers. And they say, have you hit in Kauffman in the last 14 years? The ball does not travel. How much do you have to shift that because of where you're getting a job? Because you went to Chicago before. You had 0, besides Tauchman, you didn't have many big league hitters. So you had to shift your approach on that too.
I think just with, in the game of baseball, you have 9 guys on the field, right? Not everybody's the same. So for me, it's just like knowing Kauffman is a big ballpark. You're going to have your boppers. You're going to have guys that get on base. So we have to make sure we maximize each guy that's in that lineup, their strengths, And if you're not a guy that's going to hit the ball out of the ballpark, you got to get on base and score runs for the other guy. So it's all about blending that together, and that's what you make a good lineup with a team like what we have in Kansas City to put out there every night.
Marcus, everybody has a guy now, right? So many of the guys that you are mentoring and coaching have their own private hitting coach. How do you manage that? And how do you make sure that what you're saying is kind of getting in? Because they have a lot of information, right? How do you work that?
Getting to know my guys. Like if guys have a hitting guy, Alanna, I've always been open. I'm open because at the end of the day, they're going to go listen to these guys. I've been doing this for a while, and they're going to go listen to these guys. They have their ear. So for me, I make sure I try to get out and go see the guys who they're working with and try to build a relationship with those guys. And it's a two-way street, right? If they're going to continue to listen to them, I got to get my ego out of the way and go see these guys. And then because I'm with them every single day. So for me, I don't do myself any justice by not going to see guys. So I like going to see who they're working with so I can have a good feel for guys when they do come to our ballpark.
All right, when you look ahead, I mean, you've played, you've coached on so many teams. Do you ever look at it and go, yeah, sure, I'll go to the Royals. I want to see what Bobby Witt Jr. is all about. Like, I've seen it 6 times throughout the year. Are there any players in the league where you're like, I'm kind of impressed with that guy? And is Bobby Witt one of those guys?
Kratzy, I always watch the best player on each team. I've always done that, even when I was playing. I was a role guy as a player, so every team that came in, I would always get out and see how the guys took BP, watch their at bats. So, Bobby's been great, man. I've been blessed to be around some of the best hitters in the game, and I don't take that lightly. But I'm still, even those guys, Kratzy, they want to be coached. So I got to try to find whatever it is that Bobby wants from me, needs from me, and just try to be an extra set of eyes for him to try to get him better.
If you were a pitcher, you say that you've been around the best guys in the game in terms of hitting. If you were a pitcher, who would you not want to face right now that's active?
You can't put me on a spot like that. A lot of guys
you don't even have to pick a Royal. Pick some other team.
It's just there's a lot of guys out there, and you can go from top. The top guys that just won the MVPs in both leagues. I've had both of those guys, and I've seen the work that they put in behind the closed doors, but it's tough. I can't pick one guy because I'm sure they're listening and they'll get on to me. But I've been blessed to be able to be around some really good, talented players.
All right. I'm going to make you pick. But I'm going to make you pick a different one. All right. I'm not going to say, is Shohei better than Aaron Judge at hitting? Should Cal have gotten more of a consideration than what he did for MVP? He got 13 of the 30 votes, and your boy Aaron Judge got 17.
Cal did a hell of a job. He did a really, really good job. But I just me knowing Aaron and what he brings to that team over in New York, I think they got it right. I enjoyed watching Cal. I thought he did one heck of a job, but I still thought Aaron edged him out because of the numbers he put up.
All right. Working with Connor Dawson. Did you know Connor at all before you got this job?
Haven't met him yet. Just talked to him on the phone briefly, and I'm gonna get with him here in the next couple of days, and we'll start picking each other's brains and see how we can help the hitting department downstairs.
What do you think? Because we just talked to Jace Tingler, who's going to be most likely the bench coach or some kind of crazy name for Tony Vitello. A guy like Connor Dawson's been around baseball. He's been around pro ball. What things is he going to run into that he's going to have a struggle with at the big league level, being the head guy without ever being the head guy? Because you've been both. You've been the assistant. You've been a second coach. You've been, whatever the name is, you've seen all the roles. What do you feel like somebody coming in that's never been the head hitting coach can struggle with that you can help him nip that in the bud right away?
Just the experience in the dugout, Kratz. It gets fast, watching the game, reading players' swings and stuff like that. But I'm just going to be able to help him, with the games, the speed of it. He's never done it. He's mentioned that to me. He's like, Marcus, I'm going to use your experience to help me out. So that's what I'll be there for, because it does get fast. Because as a head guy, I've had an assistant. I got thrown out of the game, and then all of a sudden he's out in the dugout by himself. And then after the game, he comes in, he's like, man, that was really fast. So just making sure he can help him slow the game down.
Marcus, how do you challenge, or how do you balance rather, the duties that you're going to have, obviously, being the second hitting coach? You're going to be working with Connor, you're going to be doing some things, but do you do it based on guys' approach, personality similarities, who needs the work at the time? How will you manage the workload? How does that work?
We haven't really talked about it yet, Alanna, but we will. But it's got to be a process, and we have to make sure that we're buttoned up to make sure, like, once the guys get in there, we're ready to go and be able to give the guys what they need.
Can you still hit? They're gonna let you. You're gonna get in there and show the boys, because I've seen that swing. I'm glad the obliques stayed together, but can you still swing it? I mean, you're only 48. The gray on your chin looks like it might be a little bit more, but
that's from being a hitting coach. I promise you that. No,
so
I try to let the guys swing it, man, but I got a bad hip now, so I can't do too much. I can't run, but my hands still work, so that never leaves me. But no, I'm just here for the boys, man, and try to give them whatever they need to try to help them be the best players that they can be.
Marcus, so much of the game today, and you certainly know better than I, is strikeout or home run. There's three possible outcomes, right? But the thing is, I wonder what your approach is. I know that JJ with the Royals obviously you want to work on average for a team, but you also want to work on power. What is your philosophy in terms of, it's okay to strike out? A lot of it now is let's hit home runs. Like, what's your philosophy around offense and how it should be?
Yeah, nobody thinks it's okay to strike out. And I hear that a lot, and people say that, and I have buddies that are like, they don't care about striking out. I have an 8-year-old son. He doesn't like striking out. So that narrative is out there. And just for me, I think when guys talk about power, you have to know what part of the zone that you perform well in. And it's up to us to use some of the numbers, some of the metrics to make sure we give these guys the right information, because you can't go up there and cover the whole plate, and that's the thing I think guys get in trouble with when you're trying to hunt for power, because I always say if you chase power, you're going to chase pitches. So for me, it's all about letting my guys know what part of the zone they do damage in and what they don't, because you got to make sure you maximize what you do well. And I think that's going to help move it forward. But when people say guys don't care about striking out, I don't think so, because I did have Aaron Judge in New York, and he hated striking out. And I know the numbers were up, but the numbers have started to come down over quite the last few years over having experience. So for me, when people say guys don't care about striking out, I don't think that's not fair, because if you played this game, you don't like walking back to that dugout because it's a lonely feeling.
AJ says is all we say it all the time on the show. Striking out sucks. Nobody wants to strike out, but. I know you've melded into the old school approach with the new school, and I know you got a little bit of a temper. Have you ever broken one of the iPads when you see dudes using too many of them?
I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of making sure the guys watch the game. Kratz, you know me. I think sometimes that the iPad is a devil, but they have it. They're going to use it. I just try to make sure guys are using it the right way. I'm a big fan of, like, yeah, you can look at it, but like, as soon as I get it, if you look at it and your timing is off, don't even look at anything else, because you're going to go down a rabbit hole that you don't need to. So I think just using it the right way. But yeah, sometimes the iPads, I've wanted to put a couple in the trash before.
Marcus, you're still in this game for a good reason. Best of luck to you in the new position with the Kansas City Royals. Best of luck to the Royals moving forward into the 2026 season. Thanks for being with us. We appreciate your time.
Thank you guys for having me.
All right, Marcus Thames of the Kansas City Royals coming up. Talking Hot Corner in our second hour of Foul Territory after this. All right, guys. So Gavin Lux, former Dodger, current Red, got married to Molly over the weekend. Congratulations to the Luxes. Freddie Freeman apparently hates the worm, AJ Pierzynski, yet broke out the worm again at Gavin Lux's wedding. So this is like a fake kind of hate, is it not?
This is his new thing. This is Freddie's new thing. And after you go viral, people want to see it in person. So Freddie's new thing is the worm. So get used to it, Freddie.
I mean, he says he hates it, but does he?
It's fine.
Erik, are they bringing this out during the season? Is this the new celebration? No, you can't do that, right? Can't do that.
No, definitely not. You're coming off the base. But you know what? Freddie knows. Freddie knows he's got a parlor trick. Everybody has a parlor trick, but for Fred, I mean, that's a big boy doing the worm.
Yeah.
I can promise you, I am not doing the worm. That
All
is
right.
not.
No groin injuries, Freddie Freeman, please. Erik, are you an embarrassment at weddings, or do you like keep it in check?
Just at weddings? I mean, anytime you have a 13-year-old daughter, you're an embarrassment anywhere you go.
Okay.
That's it.
AJ, do you like weddings or do you loathe weddings? That's pretty strong.
They're fine. They're fine. But Alanna, at some point you get to a point where you don't go to weddings, you start going to more funerals than weddings. So
God, you're younger than me. Why would you say that?
Yeah, but a lot of my friends are older. So, I'm not saying that's true, but that is a point. But
I mean, do you have
weddings
hang out with 90-year-olds? Like why?
Weddings are fine. Weddings are fine. They're fine. I've been to some dry weddings. Those aren't very fun, but other weddings,
weddings are fine. That's mean. That's like church. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Erik, so if everyone has a party trick, what is yours?
I don't know. Having fun at a dry wedding? Is that a party trick? I don't know.
I would Irish exit out of that bad boy like nobody's business.
I don't know. I have to think about what my party trick is. I haven't been to a wedding in a long time.
Really?
Time. Yes.
I actually can't remember the last wedding I went to. By the way, happy 7th wedding anniversary to my niece, Jessica, my niece and her husband, Malachi. Okay, so there you go. Let me ask you this. If a hitter is hitting 300, do you still talk to him or let him cook in silence?
I talk to him. Why would I not talk to him?
Well, maybe that was more of a question for Marcus Thames. I was just wondering what you guys would think about that. Give that some thought. Okay, we're coming back with a Hot Corner next. It is hot. Welcome back, everybody, to Foul Territory, almost into our second hour of coverage here. We start with a Kike Hernandez story. Apparently, Kike was seen at an airport and was ambushed by, I'm assuming, a fan, and they found out that he had surgery. David Vassay on X, after being ambushed at the airport by some guy, Kike Hernandez announced he did have surgery on his left elbow yesterday, so that would have been the 14th. To repair his extension muscle, Hernandez will not be playing in the World Baseball Classic for Puerto Rico. So obviously something that was being played through AJ over the course of the season because he hurt his elbow initially, apparently, in May. So that says something about Kike, obviously, playing through it. And we know how big he is in the postseason.
Well, also, listen, people are banged up all the time. I think we don't always get the full story. But what more to me is, like, I don't know about y'all, but have y'all ever been ambushed at the LAX airport? Because I have. It's weird. There's people standing
I'm not
there.
that popular.
It is
so
weird.
No.
It has happened to me where they're there and they're not looking for me. It's just some random guy happens to see you and he will come up to you with the camera and stick it right in your face when you're at baggage claim. And they are like, ask you some weird questions. And usually usually a lot of times at LAX, you're either flying in real early in the morning or late at night. And they try to get you when you're not ready for it. So it can be awkward at times. It's happened to me a couple times. It is awkward.
I have been ambushed at other places in LA since I lived there for 7 years, covering the Los Angeles Dodgers, but never at an airport. But I always look homeless too when I'm traveling. So maybe they didn't realize it was me because I look very different on TV than I do in real life.
Homeless?
Yeah, I mean, I look pretty rough when I'm not on TV.
You put the homeless vibe out, like you smell and everything.
No. I don't smell, but I dress like just sweats and you just very, very, very casual. Like I just don't care.
Right. You have an outfit that you put on and you put on basic casual. Like you're put together casual.
I do have a travel outfit now, but it's like it has pockets, it's like sweats, super comfy. But I've not been ambushed at the airport. But this is a big deal for the World Baseball Classic. And Erik, I wanted to ask you this too, because Kike loves playing in the WBC. He loves Puerto Rico, obviously, where he was born. This is a big blow for him and for Team Puerto Rico.
For sure, because he comes up in big situations. Like, I think Kike has now put himself on the map where he could be a guy where you're like, whatever. Don't play in the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
So the WBC is as close as you're going to get to the playoffs without it being the playoffs. So, yeah, it's a huge blow because he also offers versatility. If you look at highlights of the Dodgers' past 2 World Series and highlights of when he was with Boston, like, he's playing all different positions. Like, how many times are you going to be like, oh, yeah, Kike, I remember that play he made in the one series at third base. Oh, yeah, remember that play he made in the most recent World Series at left field. Like, he adds tons of value, and he's clutch in these big moments.
He's massive. And I don't care if Kike Hernandez, AJ, goes 0 for the regular season. You want him to be on a postseason roster. You want him to be in the WBC. But Andrew Friedman on Dodgers territory early in the season said that he couldn't believe the maturation process that Kike went through. I mean, this was a guy that was dancing in banana costumes with Justin Turner and Jock Peterson on the plane. And then Andrew Friedman said he has become such a massive leader in the Dodgers clubhouse and dugout. It's been quite the transformation for Kike. Could he be part of the WBC for Puerto Rico in some capacity that you think would be beneficial?
Well, they might just have him on the team and just be like hanging around with the guys. He might just get an opportunity to do that. So you don't have to be playing in order to have a presence. So I think, they'll probably bring him in, have him hanging around. If he's not healthy enough to be playing, I don't know if the Dodgers – is he a free agent? Kike might be a free agent.
Yeah, he is. They only signed him to a one-year deal.
So if he's not signed by a team, why would Puerto Rico not bring him in? Maybe they could bring him in as a coach or first base coach or something, pitching coach. I don't know, but just have him around, have him hang out with the boys. And if he is on a team, which we all would assume would be the Dodgers again, would the Dodgers let him do that if he's going through rehab for an injury? I don't know. We'll see, but he definitely should be a part somehow of Puerto Rico's team.
Yeah, maybe somehow as a special ambassador, if you will. This is a guy last season, gentlemen, 34 years old, only hit 203, 255, 366 with 10 home runs. But then you go to the postseason and he's just another dude. Do you bring him back if you're LA, Erik, just for that reason?
Yeah, I mean, he even said it last year in spring training. He didn't like how free agency went, but he was like, there's really only 2 teams I would have gone to, and obviously everybody knows I want to go back to the Dodgers. So it's just going to be a playoff team. I don't see how he doesn't. And it's crazy because there's only a few spots where you can have that utility role on a team. But now that Chris Taylor's moved on, like, I think he just easily slides into that role, and he will not hit 203 next year. So if there's any Dodger haters out there who are like, we need somebody else other than Kike, just know you did get other people. Like, they wanted Michael Conforto to be playing left field in the playoffs. Well, it didn't work out. So you always have Kike. You need to offer him. To me, I think he needs to get a multi-year deal, but I guess that's just the player in me too.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'd love to see him locked up to more than one deal. Let's move our focus to Team USA. A couple of additions were announced over the course of the weekend. Pete Carroll. Yeah, by the way, he's retiring from football and going to the WBC. Corbin Carroll and Pete Crow Armstrong are going to be on the WBC roster. Of course, Cal Raleigh, who I still think should have been the MVP, is going to catch. Great additions, guys. I mean, the WBC, I think, is increasing in popularity. We know as a player that you love playing for your country. I think it was more of the Latin countries, perhaps more so, but the USA seems to really be taking off in terms of interest from big key names, AJ.
Yeah, well, if you went to the last one, Alanna, I'm not sure. I went to the last one in Miami. It was one of the coolest things I'd ever been to just because of the fan experience. And trust me, I went to the Venezuela-USA game. Venezuela outnumbered the U.S. fans like 3 or 4 to 1 in Miami down at Marlins Park. So I think that the USA and the players that went to it have gotten a better and better experience each time. And the bigger and bigger names are coming in for it. I wish there was a way to where we could have all the teams at full strength because Japan, to me, has the advantage because their guys trained for months and months and months to get ready for this. USA kind of throws their team together at the end, as do a lot of the other countries. But I wish there was a way we could have everybody at full strength and see these guys, these starting pitchers, and handle this like a real tournament, which it should be in the Olympics. I don't think they're ever going to allow that. But I love that the big names are coming and saying, yes, I want to play for USA, Dominican, Japan, Puerto Rico, whatever it is, because that shows you how much this means and how much fun these guys are having.
I'd like to make sure that Major League Baseball, because it was announced at the MLB Awards this past weekend, just want to make sure Major League Baseball's putting the same effort, and I don't know about resources. I don't know how that works. But, like, why is Team USA Major League Baseball's team? You know what I mean? Like, they're all big leaguers. Like, why wouldn't Major League Baseball make sure they're announcing when Shohei says he's going to play for Team Japan or Team Samurai, I think is what they're called. And then why would they not announce when Ketel Marte is playing for the DR? Like, because I've heard it from different groups that Major League Baseball loves to, like, get behind Team USA, but Major League Baseball is also a third not American players. Like, why are they not making such a big deal out of it? Like, they clearly flew Corbin Carroll and PCA out to the awards so that they could announce it on stage with Mark DeRosa and all this poppin' circumstance. Like, let's make sure the other teams get their just due too.
That's a good question. I don't have an answer for that. I don't know if it's because Major League Baseball, with the exception of Toronto, is all in the United States. I don't know. I mean, I understand your point. I mean, it's a global game. It's an international game. And to your point, a third of the players are not of American, United States descent. So I don't have an answer for that. But yeah, I mean, it's every single player that is in the major leagues that makes a team for the WBC should be announced as a member, as the members of the USA team are. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that.
Like here's the example. The Miz came on the show and AJ was like, "I'm recruiting you for Team Poland." Mm-hmm. If he announced it, if there was a Team Poland and the Miz was like, "Yeah, I'm playing for Team Poland," would Major League Baseball get behind it as much as they get behind Corbin Carroll saying he's going to be on the team, PCA saying he's going to be on the team? Because there's some cash behind there, and I'm sure if Team Poland somehow figured out a way to get in, they would need some cash from Major League Baseball.
I don't know. It's a great point that I've never thought about that like that. I'm not certain why it's not handled that way. I don't know if it's because it's taken, I think, more time for USA to treat it as a big deal like the other. You ask any Latin player, it's more important for them to play for the WBC and win for Venezuela or, the Dominican or Puerto Rico or whatever than it is to win the World Series. I mean, they care seemingly outwardly. I don't want to put any words into American, North American players' mouths or USA players' mouths, but they seem to care more about winning for their country than they do about winning for their respective Major League Baseball team. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's the outside perspective I have, the optics anyway.
Okay. I mean, I think they have that national pride, and I think they're used to when you talk about the teams the countries that have winter leagues. Yeah, they essentially go into winter league mode. Is what we'd call it when we were playing. Like, winter league mode is you're getting up for every single game. Like, your dudes are juiced. I forget. AJ, you were at the game. I forget what was the dude's name whose shirt was coming all the way unbuttoned. Like, that was like, it personified the energy that they would bring to those games. And that's, some of them are coming straight off of winter ball. They're playing in the winter ball championships, and then they're coming to spring training for a few weeks, and then they go straight to the WBC. So yeah, there's a pride there that I think American players have the same pride. I just think it's shown differently because they're used to playing. When they get to play with each other, it's a treat.
I just love the WBC, and I love that it's growing in popularity. I think it's awesome.
You guys want to know why MLB pushes the American players?
Yes.
How do we know the Japan players aren't big, unlike this in Japan? We don't know. We just don't see it. How do we know in Dominican when whoever announces that they're playing for the Dominican, we don't see it, right?
No, I think Erik's point, though, is that MLB should be promoting any Major League Baseball player that is going to play for their respective team, whether it's Venezuela or the Dominican or Team Mexico. MLB should promote them just as much as they promote the USA team.
What drives ratings in America, and what drives ratings and helps them MLB gain money? The American television audience, right? What has USA had a hard time getting people to do? Their big name stars play for them. So when they get big name people, yes, MLB is going to push it because that's where the money comes from. Listen, it's great that everyone plays for Dominican. It's great that everyone plays for Puerto Rico. It's great that these guys play for Japan and these guys play for Panama and Netherlands and this and that. Now, it was a big deal. MLB announced when Alex Rodriguez and Manny Machado wanted to play for Dominican, right? Oh, because they could have played for America. So to me, it's the reason. It's all about money. Money drives this thing. Money is the reason they have this thing. And the American consumers it's the finals are in America, the semifinals are in America, Major League Baseball stadiums, and MLB owns it. So MLB knows who is going to buy the tickets more than likely, people that live in the USA. So they are pushing this, and they want the biggest stars for America because then they can get the American audience to tune in. Because I don't know the ratings, but I'm pretty sure a rating for Dominican versus Colombia is not as high for a rating for USA versus Mexico or USA versus Japan or USA versus Dominican. I'm pretty sure the ratings are probably higher, especially in the one base where MLB cares about, and that's the United States of America.
Understood. I just love the World Baseball Classic. I hope it continues for a long time. I'd love to see baseball, of course, back in the Olympics. And we're never going to be satisfied when this thing is played to get everybody involved. Coming up, we're going to be talking about the Los Angeles Dodgers, not just because I'm hosting the show. Save it. I Am Your General Manager is next. Guys, this from Bob Nightingale on X, the official 2026 Hall of Fame ballot with 12 new candidates. It is out. I'm not going to go through all of the names, but you can see them there. AJ, we'll start with you. Is there anybody on this list of a newcomer in terms of Hall of Fame that sticks out to you?
Nope.
Are you?
There's not one that's going to make it. I'm sorry. I don't
there's not one that's going to make it. Okay.
I mean, I guess Cole Hamels, but I don't think he's going to make it. I don't know. Ryan Braun's definitely not making it. I don't know. I looked at the list and I was like, I don't really see a whole lot. Matt Kemp's not going to make it. Jeez. I just don't see one that's going to make it. I'm sorry. They're great players, but they weren't Hall of Fame worthy. They just weren't. And it's going to be interesting to see who stays on the list for another year. But, it looks like who's going to get in? Beltran's probably going to get in, and Andrew Jones are probably going to get in this year, and then that opens it up for some other people. But it'll be interesting to see who gets the votes this year because I honestly don't think that anybody on this newcomer list is going to make it.
I feel like I see Jimmy Rollins and Chase Utley on these all of the time. If you had to pick one of the two, Erik, who do you think is more Hall of Fame worthy, if either?
Man, I mean, I played with both of them. This whole list isn't first-timers. So I want to know who from this list is first-timers. Is it Braun, Gordo, Cole Hamels, Shin-Soo Choo probably, Edwin,
Murphy,
Gio Gonzalez, Murphy. Anyway.
Markakis, Howie Kendrick. Those are all new guys.
Dustin Pedroia,
Hunter Pence is new.
Okay, so maybe like the top guys there, but to me, I feel like Jimmy's going to. I don't know. I feel like Jimmy's going to get in before Chase, and I think it.
But is he worthy of getting in? I mean, I think the longer it goes and the more opportunities there are for guys to get in, more people that probably shouldn't be in the Hall if there were stricter restrictions or fewer guys that got in. I don't know that any of these would. I mean, eventually they might because of all of the different avenues of getting into Cooperstown. But should they get in?
I think Jeff Kent's a better second baseman and put up better numbers than Chase Utley. So I think it's tough to say Chase Utley will get in before you hear that the Jeff Kent – because Chase Utley, I mean, everyone says Jeff Kent was a jerk or whatever, and that's why he's not in. Like, just go based on the player.
Yeah, it's not the Hall of Good Person. It's the Hall of Fame. All right, we're coming back right after this.
I am your general manager.
That's a great front end. I haven't seen that before. I love that he's sitting at Dodger Stadium in what I think is Lon Rosen's office. But that's neither here nor there. All right, guys, the Los Angeles Dodgers seek to become the first team since the 1998 to 2000 New York Yankees to win 3 consecutive titles. Are they going to do it, AJ? And if so, how?
I don't think they are. I don't. How do they do it? I mean, they just continue to build on the roster they have. Do I think they will? I think they won't. I think their starting pitching is going to be beat up. They got to find some bullpen help. They're a year older on the position player side. Sorry, Alanna, but I don't think they're going to win 3 in a row. They maybe shouldn't have won 2 in a row. The Blue Jays kind of had them, made some critical errors, which the Dodgers don't do. But I think with another year, another long postseason run, I think they're not going to be. They'll make the playoffs, of course, but I think somebody will figure out a way to take them out.
I understand. That's fair. I mean, listen, I'll take back-to-back. I don't expect a three-peat. It's difficult to do in any sport, certainly in baseball. You guys know that. Erik, if you are the Dodgers, it seems like LA is the destination for Japanese top pitching prospects. Do you go after the 2 prospects in terms of, I guess I have to learn some new names, right? Munetaka Murakami. And is it Imai? How do you say it? Imai. Okay. Do you go after either of those 2 guys to join Shohei Ohtani and Roki Sasaki and Yoshinobu Yamamoto?
Am I? Yes. I would go after him because of the fact that you can always use pitching. Clearly, they showed that this year. Clearly, everybody was like, how can you have 9 or 10 quality starters to start the year? Like, you see how you can do it. So, yes, I see them going after Imai. And I think that's probably their easier get if you're saying one of the 2. Because Munetaka Murakami kind of plays the positions they've already had. Whether you believe, like AJ, like that they're getting older, you don't need somebody to replace Max Muncy at third base yet. He's coming up on 1 more year deal. He'll probably sign some kind of extension like he keeps doing. Obviously, Freddie has not lost a beat as opposed to what Dombrowski said, but I think they're locked in, and you can't bring in a DH because of what Shohei does. So Murakami, no, but Imai, I mean, worst comes to worst. Like the guy slides to the bullpen. You need 6 starters, so essentially you probably need about 8 to 9 starters to start the season because very few of them. I mean, I was super impressed that Yamamoto got to 30 starts. They might want to back that down a little bit. So you need more guys, and I have a hard time believing that his teammates on Team Samurai would not at least give a ringing vote of confidence to the Dodgers.
By the way, Yoshinobu Yamamoto just adopted a dog out of an LA shelter by the name of Carlos. So not only is he the greatest pitcher on the face of the planet ever to live, he also adopts his pets. But that's neither here nor there. AJ Pierzynski, let me ask you this. Fabian Ardaya, who writes for The Athletic, said that Devin Williams was emerging as a Dodgers leverage reliever target. We just talked to Jim Bowden about it in terms of the closer market. Do you think Devin Williams makes sense in LA?
Yeah, he makes sense everywhere, especially as a bounce-back candidate. I think he was better towards the end of the year. I think the Dodgers figure stuff out that a lot of other teams haven't figured out. I think he would be a great guy. If he'd be your closer, I don't know. They're hoping Tanner Scott comes back from his butt surgery. Blake Trinan bounces back after a down year. And they have a lot of options down there. So do I think he'd be a great fit? Yeah, but there's about 15 other teams, too, he'd be a great fit for. So it's nice to be a reliever in this market. And, yeah, I think you fit in L.A. and a lot of places.
Is the closer market this year, AJ and Erik, the shortstop market 2 years ago? Seems like there's a lot of good closers, but there was a lot of really good shortstops a couple of years ago. We were kind of wondering who was going to go first, at what price, and where. Is it kind of similar to that? Anybody? Bueller?
Yeah, I think so. No, I think you're right. I think it's who's going to go where and who's going to be the first domino to fall. That's the thing. And then once a team like LA reaches their guy, then the next guy will go, and the next team will go, and the next team. I mean, I guess the top guy would be Edwin Diaz, right? Where does Edwin Diaz go? Does he go back to the Mets? He's going to kind of set the market, and then once he's off the board, it's going to be like pew 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 pew, because then there's going to be a run, because then whoever you think the next guy is going to say, well, if Edwin Diaz got this, and then the teams will come to him. right? So it starts off with, if you think Diaz is the top guy, then the next guy, the next guy, the next guy. And as teams, and then as they start getting more and more in their price range, teams are going to start picking these guys off pretty quick.
Yeah,
Eric?
I mean, that was a big shortstop market. I was trying to think who all was on that market. I mean, it was
Remember,
Correa,
that was like
Story,
that was Lindor, Story, Correa. It was
Dansby,
insane.
Xander. I get it, but here's the thing with the closer market. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but people were up in arms about it last year when the Dodgers just kept getting every good closer or every good bullpen piece that was out there. Like, teams have to move. You can't, this isn't musical chairs and say, oh, well, I'm out. Like, if you need a closer, to me, you got to move. They're out there. You have three high-end elite choices. Yes, Devin Williams had a bad year this year, but to me, I think it's very simple to just look at his usage and how it compared to what he was doing and what counts with the Brewers compared to what he was doing and what counts with the Yankees. So I think he's up there with the other two guys, and I just think you have to move. You have to move. I don't think it's quite as deep, but it's easily the deepest position this offseason by far.
Yeah, the carousel of closers in Los Angeles is a pain in the ass, no pun intended, with what Tanner Scott's going through. I'll ask both of you guys this next question, though. Dalton Rushing is now the backup catcher to Will Smith in Los Angeles. Ben Rortvedt was claimed off of waivers by Cincinnati. Are you okay with Rushing as the backup to Will Smith, AJ?
Yeah, he did it this year. He proved it. That's what they think he's going to be, apparently, because otherwise they, would try to trade him and move him. Maybe they still will, but the bigger question is Rortvedt. He's going to be the third catcher in Cincinnati because they have Stevenson and Trevino who's signed to a deal. So where's Rortvedt fit for Cincinnati? I guess if one of them gets hurt. But that was more surprising to me than anything.
What about you, Eric?
No, I don't think he should. And I've said this for a while. I don't think Dalton Rushing should be the backup. I think he's much better than the backup, than a backup situation. But it's where he's at right now. The Dodgers have one of the best, if not the top three catchers in the game, and Will Smith. And I get it. They need to give him days off so he doesn't wear down at the end of the season. But you saw this year, he wasn't wearing down at the end of the season. His numbers were great. A freak injury. And to me, if they have the ability to upgrade with Dalton Rushing, I think it would be great for him. And I think it would also be great for the team to say, yes, we can go get a backup catcher in some type of role, and we can get something, in my opinion, pretty huge. Because if you end up having Dalton Rushing be the backup for the next 2 or 3 years, it is really tough to put up numbers. And as a player, you can still become a starter later. But as a team, his value will just decrease. Because right now, he's a dude that was in the minor leagues, prospect, a lot of hype, played all the time. And you're going to the big leagues and you're just not playing very much. So you're just not going to get the same value years from now or even a year from now if he continues to amass 180 to 200 at-bats, when I thought what he did in the minor leagues was enough to be a starter in the big leagues.
Let me ask you this, though. Is it better to be a starter on the Pittsburgh Pirates or a backup for the Los Angeles Dodgers?
Depends if you want to get paid or not.
Okay.
I think
if you're the starter, you're always going to you always want to be the starter because that's how you make your money and establish a career. Now there are guys that are backups, but they usually don't get paid the amount that the starter gets. And if you're good enough to be a starter, like most people believe Dalton Rushing is, it'd be better to go be a starter. But right now the Dodgers ain't doing it. So you know what? Be happy as a backup and try to win another ring. Because he had some big at-bats and he had some big games for the Dodgers.
Totally.
He did.
I think that's what his mindset has to be. And it doesn't mean he doesn't want to win if his answer would truly be, no, I want to be the starter for the Pirates. Because early in your career, rarely do you get a chance to, see winning. And now he's in winning. But early in your career, you're also like, I want to maximize what my career can absolutely be. And so to me, if it were up to him, which it's not, I would say I want to be a starter. Just the same as I was talking about with Mason Miller. Mm-hmm. Mason Miller is a tremendous all-star closer. But if you want to maximize what you can do, being a starter is a challenge, which players love challenges, but it's also so much more value for him if he becomes successful. No player's like, well, I don't know if I'll be successful or not. No, of course that's what you're going to do. So you might as well go to the position that would make you the most money and have the best career you can have, because your careers are short.
Yeah, I completely understand that. I do feel like the reliever market is starting to go up more. Certainly not to the level of the starters, but certainly I feel like relievers and closers are starting to get more than they used to. Much more to come. We're going to talk about the St. Louis Cardinals next. Lance Lynn, of course, joining the show, of course, on Foul Territory quite a bit. We're going to talk to him about the Cardinals offseason and much more. Stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, we welcome you back here. So this is a question from Jen Abbas, 5380. Are any of them in the Hall of Pretty Good? And I believe that she's talking about because AJ Pierzynski, you received 91% of the vote to become the 20th member of the Hall of Pretty Good and the 5th member, AJ, of the illustrious inner circle. You're in the circle of trust, my friend. Congratulations. I think you're better than the Hall of Pretty Good, but that's neither here nor there. So there you have it. So are any of these guys on the 2026 Hall of Fame ballot, the new names that we talked about, are any of them good enough to be in the Hall of Pretty Good?
I think Hunter Pence is already in the Hall of Pretty Good. I'm pretty sure he already got in. So yeah, I think he already got in. So congratulations to Hunter. Listen, the Hall of Pretty Good is a really funny thing that a fan came up with, where he asks fans to vote on this, and it's engaging. It's funny to see who gets in and who doesn't, because some people I think should have got in didn't get in, and but it's like I think it's every Wednesday they do the voting. So yeah, it was pretty cool to see that. And now there's a list of about 15 new guys that just went on the Hall of Fame ballot that have a chance to do both. But yeah, they're not going to get into the Hall of Fame, but they got a chance to get into the Hall of Pretty Good, which for some of us is an honor.
It is an honor. Who is in the Hall of Pretty Good that you should be in the Hall of Average? What's below the Hall of Pretty Good? I don't know.
I don't know all the people that are in. So
the Hall of You're Decent.
The Hall of Thumbs Up.
Okay. Kratzy, do you think anybody on that list that's likely not going to get into the Hall of Fame should be in the Hall of Pretty Good? Just to remind some folks, Bobby Abreu, Carlos Beltran, Brian Braun, no. Mark Burley, Shin-Soo Choo, Edwin Encarnacion, Gio Gonzalez, Alex Gordon, Cole Hamels, King Felix Torrey, Andrew Jones, Matt Kemp, Howie Kendrick, Nick Markakis, Daniel Murphy, Dustin Pedroia. I think Dustin Pedroia certainly should be in the Hall of Pretty Good if he doesn't get into the Hall of Fame.
I have a hard time finding anybody that shouldn't be on this list. Maybe I guess conversation could be had about Omar Vizquel, Howie Kendrick, and Gio Gonzalez. But you're talking about like Matt Kemp's on there. He should have won an MVP one year. Had another guy on there not won the MVP.
Exactly. Thanks, Ryan Braun, for taking that away. All right, we'll be right back after this. Lance Lynn will join us next. We welcome you to the Offseason To-Do list with Cardinals greats, of course. Lance Lynn, been on the show many times. He's a great. Don't worry. Don't give me that face, AJ. When I think of Lance Lynn, I think of the St. Louis Cardinals. Lance, good to be with you as always. Of course, you can catch him on Cardinal Territory with Matt Holliday and Kyle Gibson, Jim Hayes. Welcome to the show again, my friend. Ryan Helsley says he expects St. Louis to reach out to him. Should he be expecting that? Lance, I don't often hear guys say out loud that they expect a certain team to reach out. Did that surprise you?
No, I think you're looking at a guy who played, his whole career up until getting traded there. He's well liked there. Didn't do, what the Mets hope when they traded for him. So it could be a nice little fit for him to come back and reestablish himself as the elite closer he was 2 years ago. So I see the fit, especially because if you're going to have a young team, when you have a chance to win games, you want to have somebody in the back end that can make sure you win those games, and it can really help the organization and those guys learn how to become winners. So I could see the fit there, and I like it too because Hells was a Cardinal, draftee and through the minor leagues and all that. So he's coming back home.
All right. What are the top 3 things, Lance Lynn, that the Cardinals need to do this offseason?
Well, it sounds like it's pretty simple. It's trade Sonny Gray, trade Contreras, and trade who am I missing? Oh, Arenado,
Arenado?
who's been talked about being traded all year. So those are your 3 to-dos, because it doesn't sound like you're going to have any money to spend unless you get their money off the books. Everything that you're reading and hearing. So those 3 got to go, and then you see where you can go around the margins to fill in. You're going to need a couple starters. You're going to need 2. You're going to need 2 right-handed bats because you're getting rid of 2 right-handed bats because you're very left-handed heavy. So there's a lot of things to do after you get rid of those 3, but you can't do anything until you get rid of those 3 in the money.
Okay, well, those are the 3 things, but how many of those, don't all 3 of them have no trade clauses? So you're going to how are you going to get rid of them?
Sounds like all 3 of them are okay with lifting that no trade if you're not going to put anything around them.
Yeah, but I mean, Arenado already had the shot. He didn't do it. They were like, "We're sending you to Houston." I'm not doing that. Sonny Gray, he's kind of. They were like, "Hey, Sonny, we can move you at the deadline." He gave the hunt. Wilson Contreras basically said, "I don't want to get traded." So,
right.
How do you move? Like, I get it, but how do you move these guys?
Yeah, I mean, all 3 of them are looking for a situation to win. I think Sonny is more open to it than he is in the past because of the kind of direction he's seen everything going. But Sonny's very particular on probably where he wants to go, in my guess, and I think so is Nolan. So they're going to have, you only have the few suitors that they might have, and then it's just trying to find a deal that everybody's okay with. Contreras is one of those guys that, with what he was able to do at first base last year, was really a pleasant surprise. I'm not surprised he's able to do it because this dude loves to play baseball and he loves to compete. So him being a good first baseman or being, very serviceable over there is not a surprise. But I think he opened up some eyes that he's able to do some things besides just catch. So, obviously if they find the right fit, those guys will accept it. But like you said, it's finding the right fit and going from there. But all of them have a very short list of the places they'll waive their no trade, I'm pretty sure.
All right, so Sonny, they tried to trade him and had a trade, and Sonny said no last year. What has changed for him? Is it the fact that, he had a year to say, okay, I was the leader of this team. Wainwright had left. It was a chance for him to be that guy that he kind of signed on to be? Or is it something that he knows that, all right, well, we're not going to win here, or they're not going to try to win, whether they are or aren't, isn't really up to him? And that's what's changed? Is it the fact that he's now closer to the end of his contract?
I think it's a little bit of everything, but I think Sonny's such a creature of habit that trading him in the middle of the years just sounds miserable to him. There's really no other way to say it. When Sonny gets comfortable and gets in his rhythm and he's doing his thing, he doesn't like for that to be upended. So now, hey, next year I'm going to be more open to it because, hey, I'm at the end of my contract. Hey, it's a full season with a new team. I can go in there and I can really, cement myself in the culture of the team and what they got going on, and with a chance to win. When you get traded in the middle of the season, we all know that you uproot everything. Your kids are in school. They have this and that. Sonny's, loves his family. He didn't want to uproot him in the middle of the season. So I think, obviously if he gets a chance to do it in the off season and go to a place he wants to be, that fits the personality he wants, lifestyle he wants, I think he's definitely open to it.
Lance, what do you see happening with Tarik Skubal? Do you think that this is and I'm not trying to ask you to speak for the Ilitch family or the Tigers or anything like that. Does it make sense to sign him to a long-term deal and build around him? Or do you think you'll see him in a different uniform?
So I think it makes sense to do that. The question is, what are you willing to go to money-wise to make it happen? but you cannot let him get to free agency because I don't think they're going to go to the money that other people will to make sure he's on their team. So if you know that you're never going to get there in free agency, then you have to do what's right for your team and fan base and try to get as much as you can for him now. I don't know what that package will be. I'm sure it'll be pretty darn good. And then you're able to use, the prospects you get with, free agency to really make your team a whole. But if you lose him for nothing and then don't match what, and you don't plan on matching what's going to be given to him, then you got to think right now is the time to move on from him and get as much as you possibly can for him.
Hey, Lance, what is it about Chaim Bloom that every team he goes to, he has to make all these trades? So he was with Boston, he gets the big job. Oh, you have to trade Mookie, right? And then he comes to St. Louis, and you have to trade Arenado, you have to trade Contreras, you have to trade Gray before we'll give you any money. Does Chaim Bloom go into these owners and say, hey, I'm your guy, man, I'll trade everybody, and then we can start and try to win with no payroll? Like, why does he keep getting stuck in these spots?
It sounds like everybody tabs him as the guy to come in and clean up everybody's mess, right? I don't know why he's putting himself in tough situations. I mean, when you go to Boston and you get tabbed with trading Mookie Betts right away, it puts you in a bad spot. I think this time around in St. Louis, it's in a little different pattern for him where he's trying to use the ability to go to the future. They've done a good job of racking up prospects in the minor leagues right now. If they're able to shed a little bit of money here and use that to build around some of these guys, I think they've got a really good chance of being, in the Central, you can do some things in the Central that you can't in other divisions. So if they're able to, shed a little bit of this money, add on to the roster in spots that they need to with, some platoon guys, some older rotation guys or bounce back rotation guys, they could be something in the Central that could be not fun to deal with, especially if their young guys take over. Your Mason Wynn's got to keep doing his thing. Weatherhold's got to come up and be who they think he's going to be. You need Victor Scott, you need Burley, those guys to be what you think they can be, and then you're adding guys around them that can help them become that, where you don't have to put too much pressure on them every day.
Your to-do list is trading 3 guys that are owed a lot of money out of an organization.
75 mil between the 3 of them, right?
Yeah. That's a lot of money that the Cardinals are going to eat because Sonny Gray is the most value there because no team's going to be like, oh, Wilson Contreras, that's awesome. Didn't he just win a World Series with the Cubs? Like, it's a different Wilson Contreras that they're getting. Like, he probably won't even catch. I couldn't believe the Cardinals picked him up as a catcher, but like, you're eating a lot of money for a team that hasn't wanted to suspend money. So are these just dumps? Are these just salary dumps?
It sounds like there's going to be a little bit of salary dump in this. It sounds like, hey, what arbitration guy that we know that we don't want or we don't see building around or signing long term that we can kind of stick with them in a trade to see if we can get some more value for them or maybe even pay less money. So it's going to be interesting how they go about doing it. I'm from for all of it. It's like, hey, you only have those guys on the book. You don't have a whole lot of money owed to anyone after guaranteed. Why don't we use the little bit of money that we have to go around the margins right here and say, hey, let's add a starter, let's add a Helsley back, this and that. Next thing you know, you add $25 million to this payroll, and I think you've got a team that can somewhat do some more damage in the Central now with those guys. So if I were in charge, I'm saying, hey, let's figure out how to build around these guys and see what we can do for 1-2 more years, because I don't have anything on the books after this. So I'm not really killing myself for 4, 5, 6 years. Let's use what we got, and let's, instead of eating money, let's throw a little bit more at it and see what we can do with this group.
Lance, I asked you earlier about Tarik Skubal, but I wanted to ask your opinion on why guys like Shane Bieber, he is elected to opt into his contract with the Toronto Blue Jays. Obviously, Toronto, a heck of a year in going all the way to the World Series. Why do you think a Shane Bieber type would make that choice?
I don't know, because, everyone says you get to Toronto and you want out. I'm guessing when he got there, he just loved it. Shane's a person that, just knowing him a little bit like I do, when he likes a place, he'll go back. I'm sure he might even got better offers for 2 years than he did to go back to Cleveland. So I'm guessing he liked the guys, liked the group. Maybe he knows if he goes and keeps, becoming or keeps pitching and doing the things that he's capable of, that could be a place that, could be a long-term fit. You just never know. But with the run they have and that group that they have, I can see why he liked it and wanted to be back. And you just never know what free agency is going to do either. So maybe it was one of those things where I'm content where I'm at. I know what the money's going to be, and I'm okay with it. And I like the team that's around me. And you don't really know once you get into free agency.
Jeez, that's true. That's true. It's true. All right, I got to ask you, Lance, before we let you go. I'm going way off topic here. I know you were in Oxford this weekend, so you're talking about all this money to spend. How much are you going to contribute to Lane coming to Gainesville and help get him the heck out of Oxford, where you guys can't even sell out the stadium? Okay, because he's embarrassed, you're embarrassed. Every Rebel fan, even though you're a Rebel, but you have a Bear mascot, whatever. How much money are you going to contribute to help Lane pack up his stuff and get him to Gainesville, or as we're now going to call it, Lanesville?
Yeah, see, I'm not giving him a dime to leave. I might be throwing some stuff to keep him to stay. The things that he's been able to do in Oxford have been great. The community loves him down there. He's winning games. He's creating his own legacy down there. So, some people like to create their own legacies, and some people like to, go to the highest bidder. So we'll see what he likes to do.
By the way, my son said he saw you and you didn't speak to him, so that's cool. Way to big league a kid, Max. Way to big league a kid.
He was a little fella. So
way to big league a kid. That's cool.
Did I really see him?
He said he saw you. I mean, how do you think I knew you were at the game?
Well, I just figured everyone knew. When you go into College Hall of Fame, baby.
AJ doesn't have one of those.
That's because someone skipped college. But when there's only 13,000 people at a game,
Wow.
And by the way,
13,000 at that game.
And by the way, I've been to whatever it's called, Ernest Hemingway Stadium.
John Hemingway
for a new stadium. And also, by the way, for Ole Miss's fan base to say that was one of the biggest wins, congratulations. You beat a 3-6 team with an interim coach and their top 3 receivers out. Bravo, Rebels.
I didn't think it was one of the biggest wins. I thought we played probably a CD game, and you guys played your A game, and we won. So we did what we were supposed to, and that's all you expect this time of year. Win the games you're supposed to win. That's what we did.
Win's a win is a win.
Yeah, right on pace to be in the playoffs, and that's what we're all about.
All right. Looks like we're going to have a Gainesville territory and an Oxford territory coming up here on the Foul Territory Network. Lance, good to be with you. Thanks. That's what I said. Lanesville. Yes, I apologize. Lanesville territory. All right, Lance, thank you. Don't forget to check out Cardinal Territory with Lance, Jim Hayes, Matt Holliday, and Kyle Gibson on YouTube and wherever you get your pods. We're going to be right back. We're going to hear some comments from the new Nationals manager, Blake Butera, when we roll on. Excuse me.
I like value as much as the next person. But this BetMGM's future, the 26 NL Pennant, AJ plus 5,500. Would you even put $1 on it?
No. They got no chance.
I don't. They might be a last place team if they do exactly what we just talked about. The Pirates are going to roll some pitching out there. I'm not saying the Pirates are winning the Central, let alone the NL pennant. I'm not even taking plus 5,500 on the NL for the NL Central. This is the NL pennant.
Not even $1?
55.
No.
I'll give you the $1, Alanna. You can give it for your pets who bark, or I forget what it's called.
First of all, my foundation is called Guidry's Guardian Foundation.
Thank you. I knew it was for dogs.
Wow.
I knew what it was. I knew it was for dogs. But no, the Cardinals, I'm not touching any of that. I got to see the rest of the list too. But the Cardinals at plus 5,500?
Yeah. Who do you got winning the Central? And then who do you got winning the NL pennant?
I mean, I still think the Brewers, the Reds, and the Cubs are going to be the top 3 teams up there. I think the Reds can make some moves to maybe win the Central if everyone else doesn't make any moves, but I think it's the other two. And then the National League, I think it's a short list of the teams who want to be there. I think the Braves are probably the best value because I think they're going to be a little lower and you're going to find some more value in there that they normally wouldn't give you.
Remember when the Cardinals were good? Remember when they mattered?
Hasn't been that long ago.
I know. It seems like it, though. An exclusive Missouri pre-registration offer. Get up to $1,500 paid back in bonus bets if you don't win, plus $100 in bonus bets if you deposit them before December 1st. Sign up for BetMGM Sports during the pre-registration period, and you will receive $100 in bonus bets on the first day. BetMGM Sports goes live in Missouri, plus the first bet offer, $1,500 acquisition promotion. Pre-registration plus first bet offer acquisition promotion from BetMGM Sportsbook. Bonus bets expire in 7 days and are non-withdrawable. First bet offer token will expire 7 days after being issued. Gambling problem? There is help. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S.
Yeah, that's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
All right, guys. So Blake Butera is the new manager of the Washington Nationals. He is supposed to have a press conference today, or he did have it today, actually, at 1:30. So about an hour and change ago when we were on the air. It's been 18 days, though, since the news first broke that the Nats were hiring him. But I think it's because his wife just had a baby, so they had to delay the presser. Congratulations to them. So here's the cool story. Apparently that came out of the presser from Paul Taboni. That must be Italian. When he was just starting his search, Hall of Fame catcher Mike Piazza actually called Taboni to tell him about how Butera would be a great candidate for the job. Piazza and Butera, the Italians, I tell you, man, we stick together. They worked on the same Team Italy staff at the WBC. So first of all, AJ, your thoughts about Butera. And I have to be honest, I didn't know much about him. When I saw the Butera name, I thought it was Drew, not Blake. What do you think about this move?
Cool. I mean, the Nationals aren't relevant at all. So, I mean, cool. He gets a job and he gets to – like, it's awesome. Mike Piazza, this is how things work now, though, Alanna. I mean, have you paid attention? By the way, you always say you're Cuban. So, you're Italian?
I don't know about you, but I don't know. I have two parents. That's weird. I have a mom and a dad. One's Cuban, one's Italian. Weird.
Well, you always say you're Cuban, so you can't just go Cuban to Italian. Well, okay. But that's not the point here. The point is that then I'm Italian. I'm sure there's one little piece of me that's Italian. So I'm Italian too. Okay, I'm Italian.
50-50, man. How dare you?
A little bit of okay, but here's the thing. Like, this is how it works now, Alanna. Like, you got to know somebody who knows somebody, and you get them to call, or you work for the Rays at some point, or you work in an organization. And then all of a sudden they're looking for a manager and you sit in all the meetings like Craig Stammen and you're like, you know what, I could do that job and I have all the answers because I already have the test. This is how it works in today's game. So I'm not surprised by this. Good for Mr. Butera. I hope it works out for him. We'll see. But like, the Nats aren't relevant because they're being sold and they don't spend any money and they're in a tough division.
All right. So, Erik, Butera did not make a big deal about his youth or really, honestly, lack of managerial experience. Interestingly, he did not say he was prioritizing experience on his staff. You know, sometimes you want to get veteran guys around you to have some help. Instead, he said he was looking for people that align with his vision and coaches who were the best candidates. How do you know what your vision is if you don't have any managerial experience at the big league level?
That's a good question. And as a ex-player, I have to be careful. I got eviscerated when I made my comments that a player development guy doesn't necessarily know about making big league moves or big league, like the day-to-day big league grind. To me, I would want to surround myself. Mm-hmm. And this is how I hope I live my life. I want to surround myself with people who know more than me in a situation that I'm in, so that I can learn from them. If you're constantly just surrounding yourself with like people in any walk of life, you're just going to stay kind of flatline and it's just going to be the same you and you're never going to improve. So to me, I hope he has some kind of backing from somebody that has experience in the big leagues, because he's the manager in the big leagues and he has to manage personalities in the big leagues. I think it's something that it was interesting what came out of it, but I actually want to revert back to what AJ said. The Nats are not relevant. Had the Nats gotten somebody, another manager, a different manager, AJ, would it have made them relevant? Would it have made them relevant if they went out and got the best managerial candidate available, which in my opinion, which is all just opinion, it's a Skip Schumacher, it's possibly, Brandon Hyde was in the area, depending on what you thought of Brandon Hyde. But like, if they had gotten somebody relevant, does that change this season and next season for the Nats?
They have to spend money. How did Jim Leyland do? How did Jim Leyland do for the Rockies when he went to the Rockies? I mean, he's a Hall of Fame manager. How did he do? And by the way, but he went to the Rockies and he was terrible as a manager, right? So because he didn't have any players. If you don't have any players, you don't go out and get players, then you can't be a good. I don't care who you are. You could be the greatest manager in the world and not have players. Joe Torre was terrible. He was not regarded as a great manager when he was with the Braves, right? And Terry Francona, when he was with the Phillies, got fired because they weren't very good. And then he goes to the Rockies and he has the Red Sox, and he has all these great players. He's a great manager. So if you don't have players, it doesn't matter. The Nats they've already said they're not going to go out and spend money. And here's the thing about his quote about not prioritizing experience. You got to have somebody on this staff that knows what they're doing. Listen, listen, I'm sorry. But like he's 33? I think his pitching coach is 30. Like he hired the assistant hitting coach. I think he's 29 or something, 32 or whatever they are. Like you got to have somebody that has some length in their tooth a little bit, that have been around, and not everybody going into spring training going, what do we do, guys? Oh, we're going to try and reinvent the wheel. Well, there's been guys that have reinvented the wheel. Gabe Kapler for years tried to reinvent the wheel in San Francisco. It didn't work for him, right? Philadelphia didn't work. There's people that try and invent this. Now, why does it work for somebody like Joe Madden when he tried to reinvent the wheel? Because he had put in time after time after time with the Angels, and he had been in the big leagues, and he had understood how players and this and that. If you have nobody that understands how to do this, and just everybody is brand new, and we're like, we're just going to find the people that agree with me, and we'll just try everything new. It usually doesn't work. You got to have some experience to slowly implement it. You just can't throw it all out there and hope it sticks.
That's exactly what I thought when he said that he was prioritizing people that align with his vision. If you agree with me, you're on my staff. If you know more than I do, see ya. We'll be right back. We're slapping hands next.
I felt like I was one of the best defenders ever out there in center field, and I said, I'm very confident in my defensive ability and put me up against anyone, and I wanted to see if that could translate into coaching. And knowing what I know now is I'm very good at it, and I'm the one that you would want in front of your players, coaching them up, if I'm being honest, and which I am. So here's what I would love to do. I would love to maximize my potential, and I don't want to commit to one organization necessarily. I want to see how many organizations out there would love to have me around for like 5 days at a time. Ideally, I would love to show up to spring training and get stuff locked in where I'm showing up 5 days at a time, and treat me as if I'm employed by you guys, because I'm going to give it my all for the 5 days that I'm there. And I know in that amount of time I can go through everything with the outfielders and get them routines, throwing programs, the way we go about drills, batting practice. All this stuff is so crucial and so overlooked in so many ways. And the way I went about these things are why I had the product on the field throughout my whole career. And I know other guys can achieve much more if we do the little things right on them backfields in spring training when no one's watching, and setting the precedent early on. So, and then throughout the season, if I need to go visit AA or your AAA or whoever, just one of those things. I will go work. I will go work for days at a time, whatever is needed during the season. This past year I did 3 days, and that was perfect. And I just want to be viewed as like a get-right coach.
I love that. First of all, good for Kevin Kiermaier putting himself out there. I can appreciate that a lot. The guy doesn't need to work, and he wants to continue to be in this game that we all love so much. AJ, I'll start with you. How many guys out there want what Kevin Kiermaier seems to want? Maybe, outfield guys that want to work on
a free agent coaching job where you just bounce and do whatever you want? Sign me up.
No,
We're in commercial. We're in commercial right now, right? We're in commercial, right? What the fuck is he talking about? Like, I want to go to this spring training, and then what the fuck are we talking about? Like, yeah, I want to go from spring training to spring training. Yeah, sure. Show me your secrets, and then show me your secrets, and then show me your secrets. And then one day, maybe I'll be a coach on one team, and I can use all these secrets to help this. Like, what are we talking about? It doesn't work where you can just be like, hey, I want to go to this spring training for 5. I want to go to Arizona for 2 weeks and spend 3 teams. Then I'm going to go to Florida for 3 days. For 2 weeks, I'll meet with 4 or 5 teams, and then what the fuck are we talking about?
That's all. All right, gentlemen, it is time to slap hands. We don't have a ton of time left on the show. So, Erik, I want to ask you, what's on Kratz Hatz today?
I mean, we're Josh Naylor, Columbus Clippers.
Okay.
Josh Naylor just signed his contract, so might as well celebrate an ex-Columbus Clipper getting paper.
Yeah, he got the bag, didn't he? 5 years. Did they say the amount yet? Are we thinking 100 million? Not yet. All right, so 5 years. Good for you, Josh Naylor. A big show tomorrow on Foul Territory. I'm back with you guys again tomorrow. Astros manager Joe Espada, White Sox pitcher Shane Smith. Evan Grant is going to be doing his to-do list, much like Lance Lynn did today for the Cardinals. Evan Grant of the Dallas Morning News is going to be doing it for the Rangers as far as the offseason is concerned. So we'll talk about that and much more. Scott Braun will be back with you guys on Wednesday. Coming up in just a few minutes, Dodgers territory is back Mondays and Thursdays in the offseason. I will be hosting that with my co-host Clint Casillas. We're talking about shush. You're so mean to me. Be nice to me tomorrow. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for listening. AJ, Erik, and myself back tomorrow. See you later.
Go Dodgers!